Hello, Wonderhussy here. Super excited for a few reasons. First of all, it's all nice and overcast where I'm camping up here in the beautiful Eastern Sierra Mountains. There's even patches of snow at relatively low levels, which means it's hoodie weather. Finally, I've been traveling around all summer long trying to avoid the heat, and I finally found a place where it's nice and cool. But the other thing I'm excited about is maybe even more exciting, and that is I have waiting for me in the back of my rig a delicious box full of asada fries. I had a raspberry shake too, but I drank that on the way up here. Anyway, these are my all-time favorite carne asada fries anywhere. Okay, you've probably heard me going on and on about my asada fries and wondering what's so special about them. Well, it's basically like nachos, only instead of chips, they put French fries. And then they dump carne asada, Mexican marinated skirt steak, and pico de gallo, and there's avocado in there, and there's cheese and sour cream. And I've had asada fries in a bunch of places this summer as I was traveling, but none were as good as the ones I got right down the road here in Bridgeport, California at the Burger Barn. Unfortunately, I don't get to eat them quite yet. I gotta make this video first, and then I'm gonna dig into them. Work first, play later. Anyway, I came up here to the Eastern Sierra Mountains just to kind of get away. I mean, I've been traveling around by myself for the last month, and I was starting to get kind of lonely and depressed, I'll be honest. But then I went to Goldfield, Nevada last weekend for Goldfield Days, and I had so much social interaction there, it was overwhelming. I mean, it was a blast, but it was a lot. So I thought, I'll come up here to the mountains where it's nice and cool. I can sit in my car and just work on editing. And so that's what I've been doing for almost the past week. I posted up here not far from a raging, roaring creek, which, apologies, you can probably hear it in the background. It is kind of noisy, but all that snow that they got up in the mountains this past winter is melting fast, and this creek is really raging. I'll step away from the creek so there's not so much background noise, but yeah, that creek was so high it flooded the hot springs. There's hot springs down that way, which is why I'm camping here. And boy, they were tore up. A friend of mine came in a few weeks ago and rebuilt the pools. So everything's cool. I should have just stayed here, but ill-advisedly, I decided to go to Reno yesterday and meet a friend of mine. If you've been watching my channel for a while, I got a friend who lives in Chico. And so he and I decided we would meet up in Reno for dinner because it's kind of halfway between where he is and where I am. So I went into Reno yesterday. I left the solitude of the forest to go into the big city, or the biggest little city in the West, and it turned out to be a disaster. Y'all better settle in, because this is a crazy story. Okay, I met my friend at a hotel in downtown Reno that he had booked a room at called the J Resort. It used to be called the Sands Hotel. I guess this new company took over and really did a beautiful job remodeling it. I mean, the Sands wasn't really that nice of a place, but it was cheap, so I stayed there a bunch of times. Anyway, this new company took over, redid the whole thing. It looks like a fancy Vegas resort. When I walked in, I was blown away. So I go to the registration desk to check in, and I had my friend put my name on the room too, because I knew I'd probably get there before him, and so I could go in and freshen up and get ready for dinner. We were going to go out to dinner. But the woman at the check-in desk couldn't find my name. She couldn't find his name. He had sent me a screenshot. He used booking.com to book the room. So I showed her that screenshot. Here's the confirmation number. Here's the reservation number. Nothing. I wasn't in the system. Okay, no problem. My friend texted me. He was still like an hour away. So I go, I'll just go sit at the bar and do some work on my laptop while I'm waiting for him. And so I did. I went over to the bar and I got a White Claw because I didn't want to get, soused. But all they had were those tall cans. And I don't know about you, but drinking White Claw embarrasses me enough without it having to be a tall can. And without having to pay $9 for it, by the way. That's a hotel casino for you. Anyway, I sat at the bar working. I had a few sips of my White Claw. And then, gosh, it was starting to get towards dinner time. And my friend texted me, I'm 15 minutes away. I'll be there in 15 minutes. well, dang, okay, I guess I better go get ready in the bathroom since I couldn't check into the room. So I went into the ladies' room and got changed, and I was kind of fixing up my makeup, doing my hair. And the hotel security came in and very aggressively said, "Ma'am, you can't be in here doing that." I said, "Oh, well, I can't check into my room yet. I need a place to get ready." So I went in the ladies' room. "You can't have your bags on the counter like that, ma'am." I mean, they were very aggressive. Now, I know Reno has a problem with homeless people, so I get it. Like, they probably do have to be pretty aggressive with their security to keep the bums out of the hotels. But this woman was just nasty. And so she goes, "You can't have your bags on the counter." So I took my bags off the counter and put them on the floor. "You can't do that, ma'am. You need to get out of here." What am I supposed to do? I can't check into my room. "Well, there's a couch next to the check-in desk. You can wait over there." Okay, so I had my laptop bag, I had my overnight bag, I had my toiletries, and I had this stupid White Claw tall boy. I made my way over to the check-in desk. I put everything down on the couch, and then I went about the business, still trying to fix myself up, put on earrings. We were going to kind of a nice place for dinner, and so I wanted to look decent. You know, I know I've been camping for a month, but I don't think I looked like a homeless person. I mean, I had a decent outfit on, and, you know, I had my hair braided, and I had my cowboy hat on, I had earrings on, I had makeup on, you know? You tell me. I mean, I know I don't mean to bag on homeless people, but I felt like I looked relatively put together. Anyway, they came over to me at the check-in couch and go, "Ma'am, you can't do that here." And this same security guard was very, very aggressive. She took out a cell phone and started recording me. I've never seen anything like this. Like, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "Ma'am, I'm taking your photo because you're trespassed from this hotel. You need to leave and you can't come back." Trespassed from a Reno casino. Sounds like a Johnny Cash song. Anyway, I was just speechless. Nothing like that had ever happened to me. I've never been treated like that, especially as a paying or trying to pay guest of this hotel. It's not my fault there was a booking mix-up. I mean, gee whiz. So I'll admit, I got flustered and I wasn't yelling, but I was trying to explain what was going on, and this woman was just camera in my face and just being nasty. I mean, I almost started crying. It was actually, frankly, it was humiliating, but I didn't cry because the absurdity of the situation was just too great. I mean, why cry when you can laugh and talk about it on YouTube? Anyway, her manager came over, and her manager, the security manager, was actually more reasonable, and she was like, "Ma'am, you know, we can't have you doing that here." I go, "Well, I can't check into my room." So she escorted me back to the check-in desk, went through the whole thing again, looked up the reservation's not there. I go, "All right, look, I understand. I'll just go wait outside in the parking lot." So I did. I took all my bags and my White Claw and went back. Actually, I threw the White Claw away. I only took 2 sips of it, $9 down the drain. I'm so cheap. Anyway, I went back out to the parking lot, and finally my friend showed up, and I explained what was going on. He went in, and man, he's a well-spoken guy. He's a doctor, he's a professional guy, and so, he basically had very stern words with the manager and this and that, but they couldn't find his reservation, and it wasn't in the defense of the J Resort. It wasn't their fault. It was something on the end of booking.com. I don't know. The manager of the hotel said he would look into it, but meanwhile, we needed to go to dinner, so he said he would call my friend back, and well, halfway through dinner, he calls back, "You're going to have to call booking.com. We can't do it." So now my friend's on the phone with booking.com, and they put him on hold, and I go, "Just dispute the charge, hang up, and let's just have a good night." And so that's what we did. He booked a room at a different hotel, and he had brought with him a really nice bottle of pink champagne. So we had dinner, we went back to the new hotel, had some champagne, had a wonderful time. But I had kind of a weird taste in my mouth from the whole incident, and the only recourse that I had was to complain about it on social media. So I posted on Instagram and Facebook a pretty long rant. If anybody knows anybody who works for the J Resort or anybody for the Reno Visitors Bureau or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Which I'm not normally a drama queen like that, but it was just, again, I was so humiliated by the experience. I don't know why this woman was so nasty to me. I mean, all she had to do was, well, I guess in her defense, she didn't know that I'm a reasonable person, and I would have gone outside if that's what she wanted me to do. But as it was, I was kicked out, and it felt weird. Thankfully, and this is really wild, one of my friends happened to read my rant on Instagram. My friend Carlo from Villa Anita. If you watched the video I made about Villa Anita back where I live in Death Valley, it's this crazy artsy Airbnb. Well, one of the guys who runs it saw my post and was so enraged that he got on the phone with his attorney, and next thing you know, he has the phone number for one of the vice presidents of this resort. And so that guy actually called me the next morning, apologized very sincerely and effusively, and he said this particular security employee would be retrained and dealt with, and he really wanted me to come back sometime so he could, you know, show how sorry he was. And so he's gonna make good on it. I will go back to the J Resort because it did look beautiful. And so I look forward to doing that and shooting a video at that time. But anyway, that all just happened in the last 24 hours. Like I said, I should never have left my campsite. You know what I mean? No one's gonna kick me out of the forest for putting on makeup. At least I hope not. Anyway, I'm only here for a few more days because, sadly, this is the last weekend. I'm shooting this on a Friday. This is the last weekend of my summer expedition. You know, I had such high hopes for this summer. I planned to set out at the beginning of June and travel all the way to Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana and see everything and make a bunch of videos, and oh, it's just gonna be so amazing. But as you may recall, I had some issues with my shocks that kept me in Death Valley for the entire month of June. That's right, I'm not gonna go into that whole boring story again, but I wasn't able to leave Death Valley until July 8th, so I was about a month behind schedule. I wasn't really able to get to all the places I wanted to. I mean, I did go to Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. I was trying to get away from the heat. I mean, it was so hot everywhere. It was like over 100 degrees, even way up in Montana. I mean, it was very challenging, and because I didn't have a lot of time, it wasn't very relaxing or fun. I was just blazing around campsite to campsite, trying to shoot as many videos as I could, and, well, frankly, it was exhausting. You know, I think I might actually be suffering from burnout. Okay, you know how these YouTubers or content creators talk about burnout? And I always thought it was just kind of like they were being dramatic to get views. But I think I understand now because this is a lot. I mean, I make 2 videos a week, right? I have to identify the places that I want to shoot. I have to travel to the places that I want to shoot. Then I have to find places that I can camp near the places that I want to shoot. I have to set up camp. I have to set up my solar panels. I have to set up this dang Starlink so that I can be connected if I need to edit the video. Then I have to shoot the video. Then I have to edit the video. It's just a lot for one person to do. I'm really jealous of these van lifer couples that travel together because, you know, then the dude can be driving and taking care of the mechanical stuff while the woman does all the YouTubing. I have to do everything, which normally I don't mind, but on this trip, everything seemed to go wrong. I mean, I don't know if you remember, my car was making kind of like a squeaking, chirping sound coming from the engine, and it had been going on for quite a while, months, and my mechanic thought it was the tensioner arm that needed to be replaced, but it's a big all-day job because you gotta take the whole dang engine apart, and he didn't have time to do it, so he said, go ahead on your trip, you'll be fine. Yikes, I was kind of worried when I was up in some of these remote areas, and Wyoming and Idaho and Montana. You know, this thing's like, creak, 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 creak. Like, what if I break down way out here in grizzly country? Actually, speaking of grizzly country, a bear jumped up on my car right here the other night. I'm not kidding. I didn't even think there were bears down here. I've camped here many, many, many times in the past, and I've never seen a bear. But I guess because the snow is still so far down, the bears have to come down here looking for food. And so the other night I was sitting in my car right here editing a video, and you can't really see it anymore because it rained, but there was a bunch of muddy paw streaks right here. What happened was I foolishly had my little trash baggie up on the roof of the car. I had it inside the car the first few days I was here, but then I thought, well, there's no bears here. I'm just gonna leave my trash on the roof so it doesn't smell bad in my car. You know, coyotes, raccoons, whatever, they won't get it if it's up there. Ha! Fat chance. So I'm sitting in my bed there editing the other night, and all of a sudden I felt the car shaking. I thought, oh gosh, first I thought it was an earthquake. But then I heard rustling and thunking, and I go, uh-oh, some critter got my trash. So it was night, it was full dark, but I grabbed my headlamp and I peeked out the door and kind of climbed up and looked at, oh, yep, sure enough, my trash bag was missing off the top of the car. And so I kind of walked around the corner right here, you know, with my headlamp shining the way, like, what? There's my trash bag down in that little wash. And there was a bear, a brown bear, lumbering up the hillside. Just as casual as can be. Boom, boom. There was nothing good in my trash bag other than an empty carne asada box, which it had kind of like licked a little bit. Yeah, there was bear slobber over all the trash. And I thought, well, I don't want to get attacked by this bear, but I also don't want to litter, you know, for being irresponsible and leaving my trash on the roof. That's my bad. So the bear was lumbering on his way. I didn't really get a vibe that it was aggressive. So here I am in my bathrobe, my pajamas. Yes, I have my bathrobe with me for the hot spring. Anyway, I went out and I picked up all the bear slobber covered trash and put it safely in my vehicle before going to sleep for the night. Anyway, I just thought it was kind of ironic that I was up in grizzly country all that time and never did see a bear, even though I was mighty worried about it because a woman was killed by a grizzly right while I was up there. Never saw any bears up there till I got back down to California. How about that? Let me check my solar panels. I know it's real overcast right now, but I really needed to juice my bank up and, well, it's pulling in, oh, I don't know if you can see that, 17 watts. Not much, but it's better than nothing. I mean, I need to get this bank charged up if I want to go online with this dang Starlink. I mean, there is 0 cell signal up here. And so in the past, when I camped here, I'd have to drive all the way down into town to check my messages. I thought, no, I'm going to get this Starlink, and I need to stop being so cheap. It's only $150 a month. But you know, to be honest, I'm not so sure that Starlink is really a good fit for me. I mean, what I didn't realize about these mobile Starlinks is they draw a lot of power. I think it's an average of 60 watts, but it can spike to like 130, and if you're trying to upload a video, like I had to upload a video the other day, and I mean, it drained my entire battery bank. This thing I think was at 100%, and it drained it to 0 because when you're uploading something, I guess it uses even more power. And so my idea at the beginning of this trip when I set out, I'm gonna have internet, I'm gonna do a live stream from the middle of nowhere, it'll be so cool. Well, no, it wouldn't even work because live streaming, you're uploading, and so I doubt my battery would even last for an hour-long live stream. So I do plan to do another live stream, but I'm gonna have to wait until I'm home and can plug into shore power. So yeah, I like the idea of the Starlink. I just don't think it's right for me with my little, I mean, I just have a 200-watt solar panel here, and it's just not up to the task. If I had permanently mounted panels on my roof that were constantly charging this thing while I was driving or anytime I stopped to go in the store or whatever, that'd be another story. This, I have to get out and I have to set it up, and if it rains, I don't think you're supposed to leave it outside, so I'm constantly having to fold it up and put it away and take it down and put it up, and classic first world problem. But it could be worse. I could be trying to power my Starlink and my refrigerator with this little battery bank. And that's actually what I intended to do when I set out on this expedition. I loaded my whole rig, I put all my supplies in it, I bought a bunch of food, I loaded up my water, I had lots of camp fuel, I got my refrigerator strapped in here, went to the grocery store in Idaho Falls, loaded up on perishable groceries. I'm trying to be healthy and not eat asada fries every night. But wouldn't you know it, the very first night of my trip, this Bouge RV fridge quit working. Okay, I don't mean to put Bouge RV on blast because it worked fine for, you know, a few trips that I brought it on. I think a fuse might have just blown or something because if I have it plugged in, it still runs. It just doesn't cool. And I should note, you know, I have this blanket over it now. I always make sure to keep plenty of ventilation space around the areas where it needs to vent. I always keep it ratcheted, strapped down. So even though I do go on a lot of bumpy roads, it should be okay, but I don't know, something happened with it, and now it's like, do I even want to fix it? I mean, part of me is like, oh, I should just, I mean, no offense to Bouge RV, it seemed like a good fridge, and it's very affordable. I think they retail for like $300 or less. If I get a Dometic, or there's this German company called Engel, E-N-G-E-L, top of the line, runs forever, costs $1,000. I'm just not sure having a fridge is worth it for me. You know, I might just go back to a cooler. I really don't like using a cooler because I hate dealing with melted ice and having to go buy ice. But this thing is, again, very difficult to keep going with just that battery bank. If I had mounted solar panels and I had like an actual house battery for the vehicle, it'd be a different story. But me, I'm just a part-timer. I'm just operating with a Jackery. I don't know. Do I really need a fridge? And wait, it gets better. The fridge wasn't the only thing to break on me during this trip. Nope, my camp stove also took a crap on the same day. I went to Twin Falls, Idaho. I resupplied. I drove up into Wyoming, into the backside of the Teton Mountains, set up camp, got everything ready. Realized my fridge wasn't working. All right, let me just boil some water. Realized my stove wasn't working, and well, I was overwhelmed, man. A lot of things have been going wrong on this trip. Little stupid things like my car key, you know, you hit the clicker, beep, beep, to open it. Well, that battery died. Okay, I had to go to a drugstore and get a new battery. No big deal. My water bottle, you know, I have a sport top water bottle. You know, one of these things, and you pull it up to drink out of it. Uh-oh, it's broken. Learned that the hard way when water spilled all over me. Then I lost the little stylus for my cell phone, which you can use as a remote shutter. It's just been a bunch of little annoying first world problems. But the stove really bothered me because I happened to be up in Wyoming, and so the closest town was Jackson, Wyoming, and they had an REI, and I thought, oh brother. I went to the REI to buy a new stove, even though I have literally 5 more camp stoves at home. Well, obviously I didn't want to drive all the way back to Death Valley. So I had to go to REI and buy this little tiny, it was the cheapest backpacking stove they had, and it was $50. And I know REI is cool and I could probably return it, but I actually have really come to like this little Japanese stove. It's really cool. Look at it. It fits in this little tiny case. You just screw it right on the isobutane canister. You know, you screw it on the top and then you pull these guys open. Sorry, it's hard to do it with one hand. Yeah, and then the best part is you don't need a lighter. Okay, with my old camp stove, I had to carry a lighter. This, you just turn the valve open and then you hit this little ignition. This little thing really goes to town. Now, unfortunately, the directions were only in Japanese, so it took me a minute to figure it out, but I've come around and I now look at the failure of my stove as a blessing in disguise, because now I have this stove for use on future backpacking expeditions, and I'll just bring my jet boil with me on my next trip. I don't know why I didn't do that from the get-go. And another thing that went wrong, look at this. My tailgate thingy is so loose. I've been having issues closing my tailgate for probably at least a couple months now, and I heard something rattling around. I couldn't figure out what it was, and I'm always so dang busy trying to edit videos that I didn't have time to look at it until the other day. I was in Elko, Nevada, and I happened to look at this thing and it pulled right out. Okay, I guess must have been lock nuts or something underneath it that had come loose, and so this thing was just sitting here. Which, yikes, I didn't want my tailgate to go flying open on some bumpy road, but I guess just the way that it works, like the bolts are in there at an angle, and so they can't be pulled out even if they're just sitting in there loose. Well, I didn't want to take any chances. I went to Home Depot in Elko, and oh gosh, I had to go there 3 times. First I got these nuts that didn't fit, and then I had to go back and buy new bolts because the bolts that were in it were bent, and I don't know what to do, man. I just put a lock washer on this and everything, and it's loose again. So if you have any ideas, I wasn't even able to look this part up online. I tried Googling Toyota tailgate latch, Toyota tailgate fastener. I mean, all that ever came up was this mechanism. This mechanism here is working fine. It's just this thing. I need to order OEM Toyota nuts and bolts, I guess, to get it to stay put. But I wasn't able to find it anywhere online, so if anybody watching this has a link, send it my way. And it's kind of a pain because to get underneath it to tighten the stuff, well, there's the spare tire. You gotta lower the spare tire and then reach your hand up in there and... Wow. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Venting about all this stupid stuff on YouTube is so therapeutic. I feel 1,000% better right now than I have, frankly, since I left on this trip. I want to be a downer, but I was pretty depressed for this whole summer. I mean, actually not just pretty depressed, really depressed. Uh-oh. I just found a straw. I'll bet you anything this is one of my straws from that trash bag that the bear stole. Okay, well, I'll take care of it now. Anyway, I was real depressed. I was having a pity party. I was lonely. Everything was breaking. I didn't know what I was doing, driving around, burning up gas, trying to shoot videos. I was so mired in my own petty problems that I forgot to enjoy the beauty of the landscapes I've been seeing. Okay, I've been to some of the most spectacularly beautiful places in the West in the past 4 weeks. And I need to stop for a minute and just appreciate the fact that of all these dumb little things that have been breaking, at least my car is still running like a champ. knock wood, I shouldn't jinx it. I am taking her into my mechanic as soon as I get back to Vegas next week so he can replace this tensioner arm once and for all. And I'll feel a lot better about her once that's done. Although, my mechanic did let me know that I guess he has to take the whole engine apart to get to the tensioner arm. And if he has to discharge the air conditioning too, it's gonna cost me like $1,200. Yikes! I feel like I'm bleeding money. You know, I spent $700 on this Starlink, $150 a month for the access for it. Had to buy a new backpacking stove for $50. Been paying for gas up the wazoo, driving up and down all over the West. And now I'm facing a $1,200 car repair bill. Should probably go to the body shop while I'm at it. But I actually have a ton to be thankful for. Thankful for the fact that this Toyota just keeps on running. Thankful for the fact that I'm healthy. I didn't have any health problems while I was on the road. Everything appears to be good. I should be grateful for the fact that I have plenty of ideas for places to go and shoot videos. I should be thankful for the fact that I'm going home on Monday to pack up and get ready for Burning Man. I have all kinds of fun stuff ahead of me. I should also be thankful for the fact that I have a friend like Carlo who manages to get a hold of the vice president of this hotel that kicks me out onto the street. And I should be thankful for the fact that the Burger Barn asada fries are right here waiting for me. I've finally reached the end of this video, which means I get to eat my fries. Oh yeah.